So this is a Fagor 8025 MGI. So this is the mill version of the 8025. There's a lathe version, of course, and it's kind of a unique control. So this is the screen you'll get on boot up. It will run an initial test, which it says it's passed. And something kind of unique about the screen and about the control generally is that you're going to use op mode a lot. So this button you see here, we use it all the time to jump between screens. It's a very different mentality than the Fanuc and Mazak and Centroid and other type controls that most machinists are familiar with. So this will bring you to the home screen, and you've got your modes. We use essentially all of them. Automatic, of course, being when you're running in CNC mode, single block, playback, teach-in, dry run, jog, home search, editing, peripherals, tool offsets, and special modes. Most of the machinists I know don't use the playback or the teach-in or the dry run features that much. So we use automatic. We do a lot of number 5, the jog home search. Number 6, editing for loading and for editing programs, for choosing programs as well. Tool offsets we use frequently, tool and machine offsets. And then special modes, very rarely do we go into special modes unless we're doing a parameter change. So every time we boot the machine up, very first thing we do is go op mode, as you've seen, and then we'll choose number 5. And it will give us a digital readout of where the machine is at, and the very first thing we're going to do is home it. So we're going to push Z and come to F1, which the soft keys indicate as being home. And to confirm that, we'll come down to our green go button, and as you'll see, the Z axis will home, and subsequently Z switches to 0, roughly 0. And then let's now do Y, home, and confirm, and the machine will move into location on the Y. And then lastly we'll do the X, and there's no particular order on these. You can do these in XYZ, YXZ, whatever. X home, search. And there, all 3 are home. The next thing we do while we're in this screen is to warm up our spindle. Now, Fagor reads backwards on some of their commands, so instead of an M4 S500 or S750 to start the spindle, you go backwards. So we're going to go S. Let's warm up at 750. So we'll do S750 M4. There's your line of code. And to do these operations, we need to make sure we're in feed mode. So we can either be in feed mode, or we can rotate the switch over into jog mode. It will not work in the hand wheel mode. So we'll go into feed mode, and our command is there, and we'll then hit go. And in the case of our machine, it'll change gears to the low gear since it's a low speed, and the spindle will start and warm up. Okay, so the programs for WinDNC and for the Fagor control use a .pim suffix. So that's the program type. And so here we can see that we're going to do this upper isolator routine.pim. And this is a bit of a unique program. Most of our programs here are not like this. We have just use typical single programs. We're going to be using a main routine and a subroutine, and we're using Notepad++, which is many people are familiar with. Super good editor, and here you can see the style of a main routine type program. We're going to be, kind of doing our preamble. We're going to, set our units. We're going to set our plane. We're going to set absolute coordinates, and we're going to call out our tool. And tool, like on line 6, N6 is T3.3, meaning tool 3, offset 3, and it's hardly ever will you see a situation where you use a T3.7 or 3.20 or whatever, unless somebody's doing some super unique machining or has some very unique requirements, and they truly, deeply, genuinely understand how to manipulate machine code and machine tools to do fancy things. But yeah, pretty much everything will be a 3.3 or 5.5 or whatever. We're going to set our spindle speed at S2500 and 3 clockwise, M8, turn on coolant, and G54 is going to be our first machine location, and then G20 means it's going to call out call for a subroutine, and it's going to call for subroutine number 2 and run it 1 time. So G20 N2 subroutine number 2, and then to run it once. And then when that's completed, it will come back, read the G55, go to the next machine location, and so on and so forth. And then the program will come to an M9, turn off the coolant, M5, turn the spindle off, so on and so forth. And then our last, the N75 down here, is just to position the table closer to the operator so that they can have access to change out to the next part. And then M30 ends the program. The software we use to transfer code into the machine is WinDNC, and this is obviously version 6.01. And for this particular machine, we are using a USB adapter, a USB to serial adapter. It in and of itself is a little bit problematic in that it kind of will randomly sort of disconnect itself. That's more a question of the USB adapter more than it is the software. However, the software has plenty of its own quirks. It's kind of weird. You have to get used to it. But so we'll start this up, and of course we've configured it to for the Shizuoka. COM3 is what our serial port is set at, 9600 baud, 8030M or 8025M being the machine compatibility. And then the software shows which are the active files. So the first thing we'll do, and you can set all this up through the options, the setup, and so on. Infinite if you want to drip feed. So we'll go to Files, and then we're going to choose our working directory, which selects in Windows which folder we're going to be looking in for our .pim programs. And let's come down to for our particular location, we're going to go to Engine Mounts Isolator, the particular part that we're doing, and come up here and choose Select. And then that becomes the active directory, and then you just have to identify which of these you want, and you'll be good to go. Keep an eye on your size. Depending on your machine memory, it can only take so much. And then these on this other side of the split of the software are the programs in the machine. So we keep all of our permanent programs, the 3000 and above. We keep them in here and do not delete them. They are various tool change programs and other just sort of helpful programs which assist us in doing setups and other tasks. The last program we ran was the 1001, and that can be deleted from this. It's kind of neat. It's different than than classic FANUC controls. Here we can actually use the PC to delete programs from the control, which can be handy, and we can just use that over there. So, but to delete a program from the control, it cannot be the active program in memory on the Fagor. So back at the machine, we're gonna while it's warming up, we do not have to stay in the home search screen. We can go to our op mode, and we're going to go to editing, which is how we manage all of our programs in memory. So choose number 6, and then we're going to note that our P01001 is active in memory, And to take it out of immediate memory, let's go to Program, which is F3. Let's get a list of our programs, and let's just pick, it doesn't matter, let's just pick any program. Let's go to Continue, Program Select, and it will start flashing, and I'm going to type in program number 3000. And then I'll hit my Continue soft key, and that then becomes our active program in memory. I'm then going to go back into op mode and then go right back around. Pardon the background noises, we have a laser running back there, into number 6 again. And now that that's done, I'll go to Program, and there's my list of available programs. I'm going to come back to the PC, and I can do this at the control or at the PC. I can select program 1001 and then come down here and hit my delete key, or probably more commonly you'll just do this in the control, and if I want to delete one of these programs, I'll just push my delete key and the prompt will come up, delete program, and I'll type in 1000. Sorry, I'm going to hit my clear button, 1001, and then enter. And that program will be taken off of the list, and that will make room for the next 2 programs, the main routine and the subroutine that I want to load into this control. Okay, so back at our PC, we're going to load the main routine first, and I'm going to use this button here to do the transfer. And I do have DNC turned on the machine by default, and here we go. Sent, no trouble. It's a very small, short program. So to do kind of some just quick jog operations, I'm going to go into op mode again and choose number 5, and it's my jog home search, and I'm in feed mode now, and if I want to go in the Z or X negative direction and bring the table a little closer to center so I can do my setup, and then obviously Y negative and Z negative. We're still turning the spindle in warm-up mode, and then I can change the control to jog mode as well, which can give you very fine control, and which also can give you very coarse control. And this is actually a fairly dangerous mode, especially when working with the Z-axis. You can plunge your spindle down. Obviously I have it, 10,000 is 1 inch in our case, and then we go to a 1/10 of an inch, or sorry, 0.100, and then 0.010, and so on and so forth, down to the very finest control. But yeah, you can get yourself in trouble really fast in this mode, so be very careful. It will go down a true inch each time you push that button up or down. So that's just a quick view of jog mode. You cannot enter. This can be sort of used like an MDI screen. Fagor does not do MDI the way that Fanuc does. In fact, it's kind of one of the drawbacks of this control, and we've just had to work around it. That's why we have so many small permanent programs in there. That's how we do our kind of one-off tool changes and other impromptu sort of small routines. But you can start and stop the spindle from here. You can also use this as a DRO. So for example, if I wanted to set this as my 0 location, not as a G54 or G55, not as a machine coordinate system, but if I wanted to set my DRO, digital readout, to 0 for my particular location, just for the sake of reference and for aiding in the parts setup and for making math operations a little more simple, I could go X0, enter, and the X will go to 0, and I can do Y0, enter, and of course if I want to get fancy with my math or whatever it is I'm doing, I could do an X 1.00 enter, and it would read out accordingly. So we'll go back to just X0 enter, and that will work fine for starting our setup anyway. It just makes math a little bit easier. It's very helpful. To get this to go back and read as per the machine coordinate system or the home coordinate system, which for this Fagor is G53, then we have a routine in here, and I'll show you that. We can go back into op mode. We can go into number 6, and then we can choose, pull up our list of programs, and I believe, if memory serves, it's program number 3001. So I'm going to go to continue, program select, 3001, and it reads that at the top of the screen. Nice reflection there, right? You can see my camera. And then we can just hit continue, and this is my G53, my homing program, and I'll then go into op mode, 0 for automatic. And as a matter of habit or a matter of course, it is very wise with this control to do always hit N0, meaning line 0, recall, because for some reason it will sometimes try to start, and it may be a glitch in our control, it may be something in a parameter or something, I'm not sure, but occasionally it will start at line 70 or line 200, or and there is logic to it. It will sometimes frequently pick up where we left off in editing a program. So to always start at the beginning of a program, you should type N0 recall, and that will always start you at 0. I'm going to start this program, this short little program. There's no machine motion involved. I simply want to reset this to my G53 so that my DRO will read my home coordinate position. So hit my green button, and it says in position, meaning it's complete, and we'll go back into our op mode, 5 again, jog, and there we are, meaning I'm 14 inches away from my home switch on my X, 8.7, so on and so forth on my Y, and Z is still at 0. Now that the machine is warmed up and I'm getting a little closer to having my fixtures, my parts set up, let's stop the spindle from turning, and if we turn the dial here into either jog or feed mode, all we have to do is hit the stop button, and it will stop the spindle on the machine from turning. And I could also have used an M5 and then hit my cycle start button there. So one thing I want to do now is I want to change my tool. In this case, I'm going to get my edge finder. So as I said, the Fagor control does not have an MDI mode per se that so many machinists are used to with the FANUC and other controls. So one of the programs that we have in that we keep permanently in memory, and in our case this is program number 3000, is a tool change program. So I will choose my editing number 6, and I'm going to do program select number F2, and I'm going to type in 3000, continue, and it will bring up my tool change program, and you can see it's flashing on line 10. I can scroll up in my program. That's how it reads, a simple 2-line program, and 0 with just tool change commented out there just so we know what this program is for. And on line 10 or N10 I have T20.20. So I'm going to come down here and type N10 recall, and it will bring that line up to the to actively be edited. I'm going to use my clear button and delete this. I know that I need tool number 24.24, enter, and that goes up into program memory. I'm going to go back into op mode, I'm going to go to automatic, and this routine becomes very fast. Once you've been running this machine for some time, it all becomes extremely natural. So, and again, like I said earlier, it's a good habit to get into to do N0 recall, and that will bring me to the beginning of my program, and I will now hit my cycle start button, and this runs program number 9000, which is a tool change program that's built into the machine. The machine builder, the machine tool builder, or the company who did the conversion wrote that program, and it interfaces with the Summit Bandit Quick Draw tool changer that was on this machine circa late 70s, early 1980s, and there we go. My edge finder has been loaded into the machine, and I can continue setting up my part. So for this part setup, I'll leave automatic mode by going into op mode again and choosing 5 jog home search, and I will then jog my tables into position. We'll go X in the positive direction. If I want to go faster, I will speed that up. Jog Z down, and having a knee mill, this is a little bit unique, and when you're doing a part setup, obviously all your VMCs have the bed height is static, and here we're able to adjust the height. I'm going to bring my knee up to a little bit closer to my spindle. On this particular machine, we're limited to 6 inches of spindle travel, and it works fine. You just have to adapt around it and think accordingly. So I'll adjust up. Of course, to run an edge finder, we want to turn our spindle, and we're going to choose S600. Some people spin their edge finders faster, some slower. This works for me. Great. Every machinist has their opinion. Lots of opinions, machinists I know. And M4. And cycle start. Change of gear for the spindle gear head. And there we go. I can then begin to jog to my location, and for this operation we're just going to go for we're going to align this fixture for straightness. And we're going to crank up a little bit higher on the knee. I'm going to switch into a hand wheel mode, and to run hand wheel, a little bit again, it's a little bit quirky. You need to tell it which axis you want to move, and it doesn't matter. I want to move my Z axis, but it doesn't matter whether I go Z plus or Z minus. Whichever of these I hit, it will make Z the active axis for hand wheel mode. I'm in coarse movement, and I can use my manual pulse generator to dial in closer on this part. And then switch to Y as my active axis. And begin to set up as I would any other machining, any other milling tool. Okay, obviously I'll spare you some of the commonalities between setting up any milling center with an edge finder. We all typically know how to do that. So I've touched off and I've found my X edge on this fixture here. The X, we set our X and Y at true 0, and we use the BRO function of the machine, and went in and ran for this particular machine, our program number 3001, which I did by going to editing, and I chose program select 3001, continue, op mode 0, and then as said earlier, use the N0 recall to go to the beginning of a program, and then run it. And by doing that, it returns my machine to its absolute home, or my readout to its absolute home, which when we go to jog home search number 5, reads 13605, negative on the X, and negative 110268, which I've taken note of on a piece of paper. Keep a notebook handy when setting up this machine. It makes it all so much easier. So I'm at my fixture 0. I will then come into my op mode, and I'm going to take my tool out of the spindle so I can set my Z height. Okay, for this machine, to remove the tool from the spindle, on my quick draw, my Summit quick draw tool changer, I'll switch to manual mode, and I'm going to use my tool out button, and you're just going to have to pardon the camera movement, but here we go. We'll go tool out. That removes the tool from the spindle. Set that aside, and we will use the light there, 1, 2, 3 blocks, and I'm going to very carefully jog my Z downward until it touches off. And again, you can use your preferred jog method, your hand wheel, jog, or feed, whichever works. And I'll switch to hand wheel mode for this last bit. And just touching off. Gorgeous. Perfect. Right there, just like that. And I am in. Okay, so the math on this guy is very simple. We've got 1, 2, 3 blocks stacked 3 tall, or in the tall position. So we're 3 plus 3, which is 6 plus 2. So that will be 8.752, looking at our Z readout. So I'm going to take and write that down and go Z 8.752, and that will be my height. And we've set this particular machine up, as many are, using the bottom face of the spindle as our datum point, and by choosing that and being consistent with it, it makes it easy to do all future. Okay, having noted down my machine coordinates, or my part coordinates or work coordinate system, I'm going to go to op mode 0. I'm going to choose number 8, and it starts with the tool offset table, as you can see, with the T. I'm just going to hit G, and by doing that it will switch over to work offset mode, and G53 is always at 0, and we'll change our G54 and G55. This particular one is going to be G55, so I will type in G55 recall, and it will bring that work coordinate system down to the active editing line, and I can then put my numbers in, which was X minus 13.6052. I can cursor over into the Y, which was a negative 11.0268, and lastly my Z at a negative 8.752. And when I'm happy with what my line reads, I'll hit enter, and it puts that up into memory. My G55 is now set. Of course, repeating this process, I'm doing my second fixture, which will be similar to the first one, and we're going to make this our G54. And I've touched my Y off on my edge finder. It reads perfect, and I'm going to come to my screen, and I'm going to type in Y0, enter. Now I'm still 100 thousandths off, and so what I'll do is I'll go into my jog mode and set my resolution to 1.0, which gives me 100 thousandths of movement, and of course 100 thousandths being half of the diameter of the tip of my edge finder. I will do a Y positive, and there we go. So Y now reads effectively 100 thousandths, which is great. One more time, I'll type in Y0, enter. I'm now at Y0. I'm going to switch into my hand wheel mode and do X. X is now active, and here we go. Go out beyond the part, switch to Y, switch to Z, and I do like to touch off on the middle of any part or fixture to reduce any chances of error or inaccuracy, and switch to X, and gently, as per the norm, perfect. Track my Z up, and I'm going to do X0, enter, and now that I'm in jog mode, I'm at X resolution 1.0, and I will go X positive. That took me 100 thousandths over. I'm now at the center of my edge finder. Again, one more time, I'll type in X0, enter, and I'm now zeroed out on that. And I'm going to use my hand wheel to go to 0, 0 on my part. And there we are. Okay, so here our screen is reading X0, Y0, again Z. We're going to be taking our previous Z reading and just reusing it since the two fixtures are the same height. And so what we'll do is we'll go into op mode, and we're going to choose our G53 program, and so we'll go to program select 3001 and continue op mode 0 and 0, recall and run. And then by doing that, the next time we come into our op mode 5, it will read our machine location, which we're centered over X0, Y0 on the fixture. And so now we can note that number down on paper. So we'll do an X minus 27.3435, Y minus 11.03, and Z again being the same. So let's come to op mode. Let's choose 8 for our tool and machine offsets. And let's come to our G54, recall. And then let's cursor over using our arrows and input the numbers that we just noted down, which are 27.3435 and a Y minus 11.0130. And then Z will just draw directly from our G55, which is 8.752. Enter. And then there we have it. So with the program in memory, we're actually essentially ready to run. So we'll go to op mode 6, list our programs, and we're going to choose our main routine, which will be 1719. So continue, program select 1719, continue, and there we have it, op mode 0, N0 recall, and here we go. We need to turn this to our feed mode for it to proceed. the way it goes off to run the program.